and as well as on the cruise line. So, we're in this together, and we are serious about the guests' safety and their health. So,
I mean, that goes absolutely without saying. So I think that's fantastic, actually. I'm just starting the recordings now, so because we want to get started at 4. I see folks are coming in, and we just started the live streaming on YouTube, and we'll do the recording to share later on with everyone who misses. Yeah, but it's. I think I feel like I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, as I said.
so
Hopefully,
true, so
so
true,
true, so
which
true.
is a good sign. It really is.
Absolutely. Downtown Disney, I think everything is more or less open there, Arnice, or how?
Not all of the shops,
Not
not
all.
all of the shops, but um, the shops that are run by the participants, they're open, but the shops that we run, they're not.
Oh, I see. I
Mhm.
see. I see. So abundance of caution, I'm assuming.
Well, it's a lot of it's like, again, based on what they will allow us to, as far as, because we have a lot of our cast members that are still on furlough, so
Oh,
it needs to make sense,
makes sense. Totally. Totally.
because what we don't want is to bring them in and then put them back on furlough. That's not our intent. We don't want to do that. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you once you get started, get going, you want to just keep going. You
correct.
want this on and off thing. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Jeremy,
So,
I'll say hello. Irene Agnew from Agnew Multilingual just joined you, and very nice to meet all of you.
thank you, Irene. Thanks for chiming in. I appreciate you joining in. Yes. So we will start at 4 p.m. On the dot. And when we do, I would recommend folks to please mute your mics so we can have a nice conversation with Arnice here. As you can see, you've been chatting with Arnice here already, Arnice Lamb at Disney. And I have started the recording, so for folks who want to catch up later on, we'll have a recorded chat as well with her.
Arnice, this is
Yes.
Stephen Cook and Michelle Elliott with MTGL. I just wanted to thank you for inviting us today. You were one of our presenters and our sponsors for the Small Business Summit 2 years ago. And it was a fantastic turnout for the small minority businesses. So before we got started, I just wanted to say thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, so it's by my watch, it says 4 p.m. here, so we'll go with that. I am Sanjay Dalal, the founder and CEO of oGoing. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's Fireside Chat with Arnice Lamb, someone who I've known for many years now, and I'm going to formally introduce her in a few seconds. But let's get started. It's a wonderful day today, February 11th, 2021. Wow, we are in 2021. So that alone is a remarkable thing here, isn't it? In a new year. So let me share with you all a couple of slides first before we get started. And since we do have a lot of participants today, the roundtable part of the Fireside Chat, I'm going to have everyone, do more conversations through chat, so that we can still have a meaningful, I would say, networking online. Let me just share with my screen here quickly. And hope everybody is seeing this. So today we are gathered to do business with Disney and large companies. On this day, on February 11th, I'm Sanjay B. Dalal, founder and CEO of oGoing. Thank you for attending this. Before I get started, a quick request to all of you. This is something which is real and still ongoing in Orange County. We are having a hunger crisis as we speak. And, on the National Day of Service, which was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which was just earlier last month, I partnered up with Second Harvest Food Bank. And what we didn't know is this, that over 557,000 people, they suffer from food insecurity each month. And that's, folks, 17.5% of our population in Orange County. I'm sure the numbers could be even more so in LA area. So 1 in 6 people. And so we conducted a small food drive for some of the folks. I had a very modest goal. But I was happy to see that a lot of our Orange County citizens did help. And, we had a goal of raising, enough money for so many meals, but we ended up doing a lot more than that. So I'm quite thankful. But what I also wanted to request all of you is this, there are many organizations such as Second Harvest Food Bank. They're helping our folks here in Orange County who have food insecurities. Please do the needy part, do whatever you can, whatever. I know it's pandemic. I know a lot of us are stressed, but if you do have a little bit extra, please do help, and let's help our community here. Thank you, guys. Today is doing business with Disney, and none other than Walt Disney's quote comes to mind. He has been a tremendous role model for a lot of us, including me, since the day I started watching Jungle Book while growing up in India. I still remember that movie as a kid. And I had no idea who Walt Disney was. I had no idea what Disneyland was, nothing. And then lo and behold, one fine day, my parents take me out for this movie. And I think that left a lasting impression on me, the original Jungle Book, that is, which was released by Walt Disney Company. And I thought, I was such a big fan. I had bought all the storybooks. Back then, they even had those things where they had all the characters, Mowgli and Shere Khan. And so we used to do some, role playing. And, it was just fun to grow up in an environment which, I had no idea. But I thought that helped, as a young kid, I understood what it meant and what Walt Disney is all about. So thank you, Disney, for inspiring me as a kid. And definitely then after I grew up, I moved here to the US at the age of 18. And now a whole different experience awaited me when the first time I went to Disneyland. So, what I know about his legacy is this, this one statement really sums it up. Besides the creativity and innovation that we know Disney and Disneyland about. And it's all about having fun, but also going after the impossible and making it happen. So I thought I'll share this with you. And today's Fireside Chat is about doing business with Disney and large companies. There goes Mickey right there. I didn't put on my hat, but I have a hat which has Mickey Mouse for the last 8 or 10 different versions of Mickey Mouse. It's a beautiful hat. And anytime I wear it, everybody is like looking at me. I said, I don't think I'm that gorgeous, but I know it's a hat. And that gets a lot of great looks. A quick, I know when a lot of you folks signed up, many of you haven't joined oGoing yet. So here's a 10-second view of oGoing and what we do here. So we are a business community similar to LinkedIn, but the focus is small business. So every small business who has participated today, please join oGoing. It takes literally 5 minutes to join. We have over 100,000 members now. So we are business to business. So think about it as what LinkedIn is to professionals, oGoing is to small businesses. And we have 100,000 members now. It's a great platform to create your business profile, start sharing your stories. And once you start doing that, it helps you boost your website rankings, SEO, everything. You start getting ranked, on the first page of Google and all the search engines. And as I said, it's great to do social media on oGoing as well, and make a lot of profitable connections. So just take 5 minutes, go to ogoing.com and please join. And if you have any questions, if you stumble along the way, you know how to reach me. So just give me a howler or send me an email. As we talked about the roundtable, let's do this through chat. So in the chat, you're welcome to share where you are zooming in from, because this is a Zoom fireside chat, where you're zooming in from, what's your business, and how people can contact you. So please, let's do a little bit of that in the chat. And while we are doing that, I want to take a quick poll here from the folks who are here for fun, and then we'll get into the fireside chat. So, feel free to share your stuff in the chat area, where you are zooming in from, what's your business, and how people can contact you. And let's launch this poll, the first poll that is it's a simple question: how's business? And I'll share the results afterwards. It is anonymous, so don't worry about, I don't know who is saying what. So feel free to share your, I'll give you all another 5 seconds to respond. A lot of great responses coming in. I see a lot of folks are sending some messages in the chat as well. That's great. Thank you all. And you will be able to save the chat as well after the fireside chat. So you should be able to connect with everybody in the audience. Let me go ahead and end the poll. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Going once, going twice, going thrice. Let's go end the poll. And let me share the results. So how's business? And we have about 40 plus owners who have joined today, and CEOs. Thank you all for joining. And as you can see, I like this. 33% are saying it's good. I think that's a great response from what it was about last year ago when we had begun this fireside chats last March. So I think that's a great positive development here. Going great is another good response. 15%. Okay is still okay at 30%. And then, of course, some of folks did say it's still hard and they need some help. So I think, we have a good network of business owners and CEOs who have signed in today. Please share about who you are, where you're zooming in from, what's your business about, and what help you need. And we will do our part today in how we can connect all of you together. So let me go ahead and stop this poll now, and I'm going to share the screen and then introduce our guest for the day. None other than, there you go, meet Arnice Lamb at Disney. She is the manager of Supplier Diversity, Strategic Sourcing at the Walt Disney Company. I have known Arnice for many years now, and I'll talk about that and the connection I have with Arnice, both at a personal and a professional level. I've shared with you her biography, but I'll just do a quick, I would say, a 1 minute, overview of Arnice. One of the best things about her is she has a knack for making people she has never met before feel that they have known her forever. And this is exactly how I felt the first time I met Arnice. And I'm like, oh, wow, I really know Arnice and what she's all about. And I thought that personality is really something which I wish I can strive to have some more of that. So, and as manager, Supplier Diversity, she is responsible for leading, directing, executing Disney Supplier Diversity Initiative for the theme parks, the resort division, as well as managing the second tier program. But what is incredible, folks, is that she has been at Disney for 30 years now. She joined them back in February of 1991. And how incredible is that? So how about we give a big clap for Arnice on that, on the fact that she has spent 30 years at Disney, folks. I mean, how cool is that in this day and age? I don't know. I mean, to be at a company, I used to think once upon a while, you last 5 years, that's like amazing. You do 10 years, people think you're crazy. You do 30 years, that's like a lifetime, right? So I think that is absolutely amazing, Arnice. Can't can't imagine how you've done it, and we'll talk about that. But what's amazing is she considers a duty to identify great suppliers, assist them in any kind of conflict resolutions that could happen along the journey with Disney, and orchestrate and even communicate efforts on both ends, internal as well as external, where she's hugely passionate in working with minority, women, and the veteran business owners and the communities. I came to know Arnice through an organization in Orange County called ABAOC, which is Asian Business Association. But she is also a very active participant in many organizations, including chairwoman for the American Indian Chamber of Commerce of California, member of Women Business Enterprise Council West, and many corporate advisory councils, including National Minority Suppliers and National Association of Minority Contractors. Arnice has been an advisor of oGoing since my early days. So it's my immense pleasure, to welcome Arnice to our Fireside Chat. Arnice, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
30 years, I'm just going to jump right in. How did you do that? At Disney.
Well, for Disney was my dream job. It was the job that I always wanted to have. If you might recall, well, maybe you may not, because you said when you started watching Disney, it was with the Jungle Book. But when I started seeing Disney, it was the Wonderful World of Disney. And so I had to do all my chores in order for me to have carved out just for me that time that I could watch the Wonderful World of Disney. And so my parents, my goal at that time, and I even told my parents, my mother and my father, that I will be working for Walt Disney. Now, mind you, my dad's a pessimist, and his comment to me was, that's a lofty goal. Do you really think you're going to be able to get in at Disney? But my mother was the optimist. And for her, it was like, if you want something, wish for it really hard, work really hard, and eventually your dreams will come true. And sure enough, it actually did come true. When I was brought on at Disney, I tell all my friends, my son, Michael, was my lucky charm, because I actually got the job on my son's birthday.
Amazing. That's an awesome thing.
And so, with that said, the values that Disney have, the work ethics that Disney have, the importance of collaboration and teamwork is something that I've always gravitated to. Companies that I worked at before, which were medical device manufacturers, Pfizer, Medtronic, Sierra Bard, yes, they believed in collaboration, they believed in teamwork, but we also had to deal with the bureaucracy of dealing with FDA. And I was the R&D contract administrator. So coming to Disney, that was my dream job. And so with that, taking that into consideration, I soaked up everything. I soaked up the magic, I soaked up the dream, and every day has been a pleasure for me.
That is awesome, Arnice. I mean, that's pretty amazing how your mom and dad, they're all the opposites, right? I guess opposites do attract in that sense. Your dad was probably more of a realist, and mom was always an optimist, saying, hey, you can go after your dreams. So give us a little color on, Arnice, about you growing up. How did that happen, the early part of your years? I know it wasn't California all along. So that was
no. So
you jumped the ship.
Yeah. So I lived in Cleveland, Ohio, affectionately called the Mistake on the Lake. And winters there is brutally harsh. And when I say brutally harsh, our home was literally off of Lake Erie. So when the winds would come through Lake Erie, we would definitely feel it. Okay. And I told myself once I graduated from college, I am not staying in Cleveland anymore. I refuse. So I happened to meet my husband, who at the time was working at the YMCA as well as myself at the Y. I was the youth counselor, and my husband was the, he doesn't like to be called janitor. There was a more fancier name, but as far as I was concerned, he was the janitor and the handyman, and he drove the bus. Yeah. And so my needing him was to be able to drive the bus because it was a stick shift and I didn't know how to drive it. So we went on this journey. My husband went back into the Marine Corps. He's a lifer. Right. And as always, you follow. So I went to Guam with him. Oh, wow. And then spent 6 years on the Rock in Guam. But it taught me how to be, to work in the supply chain, to know the pecking order and to know protocol. So that helped me a lot in my career. So when we left and came back to the States, that's when I started working for a lot of the medical device manufacturers. But my dream was always to be at Disney. And to tell you how intentional I would submit my resume every 90 days to the corporate office at the Walt Disney Company.
Amazing, amazing.
Not realizing that there was a sourcing organization that was in Anaheim. And so eventually I belonged to a professional organization. At that time, it was called the National Association of Purchasing Managers, now ISM. Yes. And I was the chairperson of the Orange County chapter. Wow. And they always asked me, my colleagues at Disneyland, how come you haven't applied at Disneyland? I have applied. I applied up at corporate. Yeah. No. We have a procurement group here. It's decentralized. It's not centralized. Oh. So you mean to tell me for 16 years, every 90 days, I was sending my resume to the wrong group? Pretty much, And then, the rest was kind of history. And so when I was being interviewed for the position, I had an opportunity to meet one of the seasoned executives. Yep. And his name was Dale Berner. And all during the time of the interview, I kept staring at his ring. And I kept staring at it and I was intrigued. So when the interview was over with, I asked the executive, I says, "Sir, can I ask you a question?" And he says, "Of course." And I says, "Where can I purchase that ring?" He says, "Oh, sweetie," because he was from Ireland. You cannot buy this ring." Okay, can I rephrase the question? Of course. How long will it take me to work for the Walt Disney Company before I can earn that ring? He says, 20 years. I says, I can do that. Yeah. And sure enough, on my 20th anniversary, they gave me my ring.
That is awesome. And I remember exactly talking about that the first time I met you, like you were waiting for your ring.
I was waiting for my ring, yes.
For your ring. I do remember that. So that was almost, 10 plus years ago now. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so I always tell people that if there's something that you love, and if you truly have a passion for it, it doesn't make any difference. I love my supply chain people. I adore my stakeholders. The suppliers that I interact with, they're amazing. They're innovative. They're creative. They really try hard to learn from what I teach them and tell them, because I'm a mentor, I'm a teacher. And so I always share what I've learned to the suppliers to help them to grow. And so that's always been my mantra.
Absolutely, Arnice. So, and I think that's a lot of business owners and CEOs who have logged in today, for this Fireside Chat, they want to know that, right? So let me ask you that question right straight up. how can a solopreneur and let's say a very small business owner, how can they become a supplier at Disney, and what does it take for them to to participate in to bid for things. I mean, right, to start doing business, because I mean, you talked about networking, being with the group that helped you gain access to Disney as an employee, but a lot of us want access to Disney as a supplier, or as a business partner. So what is the magic sauce?
Okay, I'll try to give you as best I can the magic sauce.
Sure.
So first and foremost, the company must be in business for at least 3 years with a proven track record of performance. Okay. We have various ways to connect with us. I think one of the most used way, people will go onto our hub, and in the hub, it would say, how to do business with Disney. You might see that on the hub. There's a generic email address that's in there. It's called corp.supplierdiversity@disney.com. That site, that generic email, is monitored daily by me. I'm the administrator of that site. So when you send a note to that generic email, it comes into my mailbox. I, in turn, email you back with what we need to see in a statement of qualifications. And I give you detailed instructions of what content needs to be in that document. Now, we ask this of all suppliers, whether they're diverse or not, doesn't make any difference. Every supplier that wants to engage, or potential supplier that wants to engage with us, have to provide us that information, okay? Once we receive that information, I in turn then disseminate it to the category sourcing person that's responsible for the goods and services that that particular supplier provide, as well as to the business units that would typically utilize the service that is being provided. With the caveat, could you advise my office when this particular category will be up for review? So that once I respond back to the supplier, and once the business unit has given me feedback, then I can tell the supplier, this is when we're going to review the category. We did receive your information. However, you need to provide clarity on certain points in which I work with that supplier to make sure that what he's indicated in the statement of qualifications matches what he's either A, put on his website, or B, what he has advised us as far as the clients that he's currently providing goods and service with, because we want to have consistency in the information that we receive.
That's fantastic. So it's not quite like your experience where you are sending a resume every 90 days and you're not getting a response. Over here, you are saying you are actually looking at every application, every email that comes in.
Right. And
your team reaches out to make sure that every supplier gets their opportunity to apply properly, to make sure they qualify in the proper way, and they're aware of as and when the opportunity can arise for them.
Yes. And also, too, is the fact that when I respond to you in an email, you have all of my contact information. I believe in accessibility. There's no place I can hide, as you well know. My phone is connected to my hip, and there are times where I would get a phone call in the middle of the night and pick it up. And it's like, well, I was hoping you would let it go into voicemail. Well, then you shouldn't have called, because I'm going to automatically pick it up. So I am very accessible. And also, too, just to let the business owners know, you will not get instant gratification from me right away. Typically, my objective and goal is to respond back to you within 72 hours after you had initially responded to our company. Sometimes that might be a little bit longer if I'm traveling, although lately I have not been traveling, so I can respond back in a little more timely manner. But I do respond to all emails and all inquiries. And if it's information that I don't have readily available, I will ascertain that information so that you have a clear understanding of where we're going and what we're going to be doing.
That's fantastic. And I thank Ashwin Radia, who actually is actually a family friend of mine from Silicon Valley. He has actually shared the link here for everybody to take a look at, supplierdiversity.disney.com. So I believe that's the place.
That is the website to our, yes, that is our website.
Thank you, Ashwin, for doing that. Really appreciate it. So Arnice, we're talking about supplier diversity. So let's get into that. How can a minority, woman-owned, veteran, or diversity supplier they join the program? Is it the same link? And once they do join, do they get any special preferences? In design, construction, food, beverage products, right? I mean, look, everybody needs a little inside hand, a little helping hand.
So first of all, no, we do not do preferences. All suppliers that do business with the Walt Disney Company must be competitive in the marketplace. The one thing that we do that if you are certified as a minority, women, veteran, LGBTQ, disabled business, is that you have an advocate that's there to help you, that's there to help you navigate through our company. And I'm always asking suppliers, please review our annual report. The annual report is going to tell you where we are today and where we will be in the next 3 to 5 years, so that you can plan how you want to bring value to our company based on the direction that we as an organization is going.
I think that's a great point. I mean, we were just chatting briefly earlier, Arnice, before the Fireside Chat started, about Disney's report that came out today, the quarterly earnings. And it seems like despite the fact, as we all know, that the parks have been closed and a lot of the attractions as well as hotels and the cruises, but still the company has survived and they're coming out of it nicely. So on that question alone, are we seeing that there will be more opportunities in store, you believe, for suppliers in 2021 and 2022, especially with some of the reopenings, hopefully, keeping my fingers crossed here that should happen? What do you think of that?
Well, in 2021, we are looking at what does the reopening look like. Okay. However, the needs and the requirements that you were accustomed to seeing last year or the year before, it's not going to happen in 21.
I see.
We're just being a realist here.
Okay.
And so basically, we're taking a more conservative position. What areas that needs to be addressed, we're going to address it.
Sure.
Those that is good to have, we'll forecast that for 22, 23.
I see.
We have not planned out what fiscal year 22 is going to look like. Leadership will probably start examining that and determining that later this summer, as we start looking at developing our annual operating plan and our strategy for 2022. But I think for right now, our main goal and objective is to make sure that our employees and our supply chain is okay and that they're whole. And so that is a top priority for us. And so our leadership is doing everything humanly possible to push the bar to get us open again, because we've heard it from our supply chain. It is our supply chain that is letting leadership in our government know, do you realize what you're doing to my business? Right. And so we're letting them do the talking, because we did the talking and it went in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
So hearing it from a small business owner's perspective will resonate a lot more.
Absolutely.
Than hearing it from the corporations.
I think I'm glad you're doing that for sure. I mean, it's a lot of folks, I'm seeing some chat messages as well, like how do you do business with local businesses in Anaheim? And we will address that a little later. But yeah, I think a lot of small businesses, especially in the vicinity of Disneyland and the parks, have suffered tremendously. That will be an understatement, I think. So they're all looking forward to some reopening in some shape and form.
Some shape or form,
And
yes.
I'm hoping that their pressure, changes, how the government at a state level looks at things for sure. So let's keep our hopes alive on that. On that note, I'm always a believer in long term. So what really makes a good supplier at Disney, right? I mean, what is it that Disney looks for? Saying, yeah, this is a good supplier. I would like to do business with them. I'm not just doing it today, but I think I'm going to do business with them tomorrow and the day after. Is there a recipe for a good supplier?
Yeah, there really is a recipe for a good supplier. And I think one of the main recipe for a good supplier is keeping your commitment.
Okay.
Never overpromise.
Got it.
Always be prepared and be detailed. So when you're submitting a proposal or you're participating in an RFP, you really need to be detailed, and you really need to be able to clearly articulate to that end user your approach of how you're going to support our organization. The one thing that I don't want you to do is, well, we'll do exactly what you tell us to do.
Mm.
No, you're the subject matter expert in your industry. We're expecting for you to tell us best practices. And so with that said, I need for you to be able to clearly articulate how you can bring value and help us reduce costs so that we can maximize the experience that we want to give to the guest. Oh, okay. And so you will be amazed how many times I've talked to diverse suppliers and I've literally had to go and do a rehearsal. Okay, I need for you to give me the pitch that you're going to give tomorrow to my stakeholders. And then as soon as they start off in that direction, stop it right here. Stop it right here. I need for you to tell me your approach to this project. Not what you read in the specification, because I already know what's in the specification. But what is your interpretation of what you learned from the specification? That's what we need to know. Oh, okay. And so, by the time they come in to do their presentation, okay, that's how it should be done. So
what I really like what you're telling me, Arnice, here, and a lot of suppliers, would-be suppliers, here who are listening today, on Zoom and watching you, is the fact that you are actually helping them get better. It's not like, oh, you messed up, you did not do a good job presenting, or you're doing this. You're actually training them to go and make a better presentation to the team that's going to either say yay or nay to them. And I think that is pretty awesome, because you are saying, look, we brought you in, we want you to be successful. You're not just adding another company to our list here. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say. And also too, it's important. Whatever you've indicated, this is my A team. These are the team that will come in to support your organization. What I don't want you to do, and I've seen it time and time again, they come in with the A team, they become comfortable, and then all of a sudden they do a bait and switch, and I get the B team. So it's like, okay, whoa. What happened to Joey? Where did Joey go? Oh, well, I needed Joey on this project. Okay, did you provide written documentation telling the client that Joey will not be on the team supporting this organization, but that this individual in which you shared their experience and credentials, who is equal to Joey, will be supporting the organization. No. Well, it's written in the contract that you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so it's about transparency. It's about, always staying on your A game. Pretend what it was like as a business owner when you got your first client. You gave them the best that you and your team has to offer. You have to continue to do your A game. You can't slack off when you become comfortable. Oh, I know Joey. Joey knows me. And we go way back. No. Because Joey might not necessarily be here next year.
I see.
And so you always have to stay on top of the game because there is an expectation.
And that brings to my next question is, and you can share some examples on this audit. What are the failings then of a supplier? What is it that they do where they can get knocked off the program? I mean, I'm sure you've seen a few of them.
Yes, I have. I think what I see more and more is that they'll come in really strong.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the owner is not actively involved in the account, or the owner is clueless as to what is happening with the account. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we on a quarterly basis do performance reviews, so that we are in front of the owner. We are outlining what is happening. We're hoping the owner can give us some insight if there's been any change in the quality of service that's being given. So I think a lot of it, just try not to become so complacent, because your complacency, there's someone else waiting at the wing that is chomping at the bits to get in and waiting for you to fail. My role is for you to succeed and for you not to fail. But it's a two-way street. I can only help you if you help yourself. If you don't want to help yourself, then I can't help you.
Yeah, it's remarkable, and I've seen that happen too. So it's some owners who are here today, can they actually dream, Arnice, that one day they can create a good few $1 million business opportunity with Disney? Has it happened before? What do they need to do to make that happen?
It has to be a gradual growth.
Gradual, okay.
A growth that you can control and that you have the resources to maintain it. Because I've seen situations where companies has grown at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they do not have the resources to maintain it. And so, you need to look at your business conservatively and make sure that your growth is conservative.
Yep.
And you're not going to get rich overnight with Mickey.
Yep.
I'm just telling you right now, the concept of, Disney has deep pockets, they can afford it. That's a wrong methodology and approach to take. Disney expecting you to be a true strategic partner.
Sure.
Notice I said strategic partner.
Yep.
Because together with both of the companies leveraging innovation, both companies will grow. But you have to have that mindset of being a solution provider to your clients. Once you have start doing that, your company will grow at a conservative step.
You talked innovation there, Arnice, and that's a good segue. And one of the things I love by the way, I had the annual passes many years now. So that was the best gift I ever gave to my wife and my daughter, the Disney annual pass, and especially when she was a graduating senior from high school. And I think that was the best experiences they had together, my wife and her. And Eventually they bought me one, but not of the same type. So I tagged along a few times, but I enjoyed it too. But one of the best experiences we had at Disney was the culinary experience, the food. And I know Disney really goes out of their way to identify, where food and, I would say beverage firms that can provide that experience.
Mhm.
Can you share some highlights on that? What really goes behind the scenes? How do you go about making such decisions and bringing such suppliers on board?
Well, I know that our culinary chefs goes to a variety of industry trade events for the sole purpose of looking at what is new and out of the market. And a lot of times we find a lot of diverse suppliers in the food and beverage industry that actually participate and involve in those industry trade shows and those industry groups, and that they actually leverage the innovation and new techniques that the industry group is providing to enhance what they do. And we're always looking for something better. So anytime that we present a company in this category, we let our stakeholders know, let me showcase some of the things that they have done that you might not be aware of. And it's those business cases of innovation that they've done for other clients that helps me to get our food and beverage team gravitating to want to know more about that company.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I love that spirit of creativity and innovation. I mean, it's everywhere at Disney for sure. A little segue in a different industry, the construction and design, and again, a lot of projects going on always. There's always something new that you're building or updating. And I know Disney leverages a lot of the models like BIM and the integrated project delivery and so on.
Mhm.
So are these things that the suppliers ought to be aware of, and they need to be like knowing that inside out before even they apply to some of those jobs or projects, or what's required for a supplier in that industry?
It's not a requirement to know BIM.
Okay.
It's not a requirement to know, integrated delivery process.
Okay.
However, I need for those firms to know what it is. There's enough reference books out there that you can take time on the weekend to read up on, to be familiar with it. Typically, when we use BIM is when we're working on a complicated design construction project in which we are leveraging those critical trades as part of the design process. So in those areas, especially when we're using BIM and we're looking at an existing building,
Yep.
and determining what are some of the barriers that we may run into when we start doing refurbishing. Those are the type of technologies that we use. And BIM is relatively new. It's only been out in the marketplace maybe 6 or 7 years. But I encourage suppliers to at least go on Amazon, buy the books,
Yes.
read up on it so that you are familiar with it. Also, there are several trade organizations that actually offer courses in those various subject matters. Time to go back to school, people, because this is the new wave. This is the new way of how we're doing construction. And you need to be aware of it. You need to be familiar with it. And, if you need help, that's the reason why we're here. We're here to help you. We're here to provide you directions, tell you where to go to get that information, because we want you to be successful as well.
And it goes back to what you said earlier. Don't get complacent with what you already know or what you've done before. I mean, be on that cutting edge and be on the learning edge, if you may. Keep learning new ways. And especially if Disney is embracing something new, then you ought to be also looking at that and seeing what changes you need to make in your business to embrace that, or be ahead of that, if you may. I have one more question, and I'm going to then open it up for the audience.
Okay.
Actually, you kind of have answered that, but let me just ask you more as a general question. What have been some of the innovative changes, if you may, in the supplier diversity and the strategic sourcing programs over the years? And in your mindset, do you think they have created more opportunity?
So early on, when I entered into this job, the focus primarily was minority-owned, women-owned.
Yes.
As we evolved,
Mhm.
we came to the realization that we were missing out on other talented suppliers who happened to be veteran, who happened to be disabled, who happened to be LGBTQ, and so we decided to broaden our program based on the quality of suppliers that are out there in the marketplace. And we've also expanded our program based on how sourcing, because our program, supplier diversity, is an integral part of the strategic sourcing process.
Yep.
And I'm a sourcing person.
Yep.
Have been, I will always be a sourcing person. And so when I look at a supplier, I look at a supplier from the lens of sourcing. If I was still in sourcing, awarding contracts, would I utilize a supplier? So when I am working with the supplier, I'm helping you, the supplier, to tighten up your resume of your experience so that it's compelling for our sourcing organization and our business unit to want to engage with you.
That's fantastic, Arnice. I have one last question before I ask our audience to have you answer some of their questions. 30 years at Disney, I mean, it's incredible what you've done. The fact that you're still as passionate as the very first day you joined, I can see that in your eyes, in the way you are sharing your experiences. If you can just share maybe one or two takeaways from your incredible journey, what would you tell us today?
I would tell you today to be accessible, be accessible to your clients, to be a good listener, to be observant, deliver what you said, deliver what you promise. Okay. Again, don't overpromise, but don't underdeliver. Okay. And mentor as much as you can. There are a lot of small emerging businesses that are coming up that the seasoned veterans lift a hand to help those business owners, help them to improve their back of house process so that they can be successful too.
Absolutely. I love those takeaways. Folks, this is your turn to ask Arnice any question you have, within reason, of course.
Within reason.
Yes, please, you can, I would recommend, since we have a lot of folks here, instead of giving you all microphone, which I was about to do that, but instead, why don't you put your question in the chat area if you don't mind? So that way, we will make sure we respond to all your questions. I know there was a question asked earlier, Arnice. Let me find that, about doing business locally in Anaheim. Is there anything going on specifically by Disney to help the local Anaheim businesses right now?
Yes, we're looking at, how can we be more engaging with the small businesses in Anaheim and in Orange County.
Orange County, okay.
Okay, there is been a major focus with our operations people, and we are intentionally looking at those areas where there are local businesses. We realize that there are local businesses that out there, because of the fact that they don't advertise what they do. It's a lot of it is word of mouth. And so I'm hoping that your platform and you're sharing your contact information, sharing my contact information with those business owners.
Yep.
Please reach out to me, send me a note, send me an email. Those that do know me and have worked with me, they know I will respond back.
Absolutely. And she does, and you'll probably see a response on the weekend too. So
yeah, forgive me what day or not what day or night I respond back, because I have responded to emails like at 3:00 in the morning, because I made a commitment that I was going to respond back in a timely manner. So
one question from Ashok Sheth, who I've known for many years now. He has been an oGoing member of the community. Can we be approved as a California vendor or a USA vendor? What's the difference there, Arnice? Is there a difference?
No, there isn't a difference.
There isn't a difference. So I believe once you're approved for all of the country, right?
Correct. And depending upon what the category is, you should have the ability, if you're awarded a contract, to be able to provide product and services to all 310 business units of the Walt Disney Company.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
So, I always say, be careful what you wish for, and your wishes will come true.
Be ready for it. You already said that, Do you also cover companies that provide IT services and solutions and are MBE, DBE, and small business certified? I would say yes.
Yes, we do. However, taking into consideration the situation that we're currently in with the majority of our staff being furloughed, that category has not had a lot of attention. Does not mean that it won't, but now is the perfect time for you to send us information about your company, because now our leadership and management now have breathing room to really get a chance to dive in and really look at some of the firms that, is currently making inquiries.
So I do see some questions. Another one from Team Marquez. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but I apologize if I'm not. He's providing high pressure valves, stainless steel tubing, basically part of natural gas and CNG systems and trucks. How does he find out what category that fits in? I guess more about when he applies. And then how does he know when that category could get open for new vendors? It's an interesting question. Yeah.
It is an interesting question. Again, it comes back to emailing me or going on our website, using the generic email address that's on our website, and present your company to me. Then I can go into more in-depth, once I know a little bit more about what your offerings are, to guide and direct you as to what information the business unit is going to want to know about your company.
On that notion, Arnice, do businesses who are now on your supplier organization and they're already part of it, do they get some kind of a foresight into what's possible down the road? Like, what kind of opportunities are potentially opening up 2 or 3 or 6 months down the road? Or is that something done before, or are you guys doing that? Or
we do it, but it's based on what the requirements and the needs are.
I see.
So it's not something, because of the fact that our requirements change so drastically, right. We do keep suppliers abreast of what we're doing. That's the reason why I constantly keep telling suppliers, you really got to look at the annual report. If you examine the annual report, you got a pretty good idea of what's going on and what is happening in the marketplace.
Fantastic. So I'm going to take 1 or 2 more questions because we do want to close right before 5 or at 5. Maria Juarez, she's saying she has a small business security company. She thinks that Disney normally contracts with large security guard vendors. That's her assumption. So she's saying it's difficult to find small security organizations. She would love to apply. Do you think you can help her? I'm sure she has to apply and go through the process. But importantly, does Disney work with the smaller organizations?
Well, it depends upon the business units. Okay, so I'll give you a good example. So Disneyland Resort, as well as the Walt Disney Studios, we have our own security force. So the probability of us using small security companies is not that frequent. However, the Disney stores, we will outsource to typically small security companies, depending upon the location and the region. So it's on a case-by-case basis. And a lot of it has to do with your capacity, what you're capable of doing. So the more we know of your company and what you're able to do, the more I can assist you and direct you as to realistically what opportunities are there on the horizon.
Absolutely. A lot of folks have asked about Arnice's contacts. I will email you her contacts after this chat, hopefully by tonight or tomorrow for sure. So we will, everybody who has attended today's meeting on Zoom will be able to have her contacts. I just need to make sure Arnice is okay with sharing whatever she has sent me. And once she gives me that okay, I will send you all a note on that. So yes, you will be able to reach out to her. One interesting question, Arnice, was as a small minority business, we are a non-union firm
Mhm.
in a union control field. Does that potentially create a roadblock for contracting with Disney? Is
We
there a
do,
project
yeah.
agreement for
So we do have areas where union is not a requirement. I'll give you an example. So we have a production studio that is in North Hollywood off of Prospect. That's a non-union house. That's not a problem. We have different other areas like in downtown Disney, where we also, because it's participant driven, they typically will utilize non-union contractors. But if there's anything that is any work that's being done at Disneyland Resort or on the studio lot, you have to be union.
Absolutely. I just posted Arnice's email in there, so feel free to email her. It looks like I'm not going to be able to answer all the questions today. I think email would be the best way to reach her. Because as she said earlier, she will respond. And of course, she's going to direct you to the Supplier Diversity website eventually. Arnice, the overall Fireside Chat was about how to do business with Disney and large companies, right? So the question to you, and with so much experience you do have with working on both sides of the fence, what is different if this was some other company like an Apple tomorrow or a Google? Do you think that programs are similar, or what do you advise some of the business?
No, so their program is similar. They will ask the same thing that I would ask. So when I send you information of what I need to see in the statement of qualification, that document can go anywhere to any Fortune 100 to 500 companies. As a matter of fact, if you send it to a Fortune 500 company that's my colleague, they will tell you, oh, you've talked to Arnice, because they know the format of which I request information from the supplier. So yes, once I help you to pull that information together, you literally can take that anywhere to anyone.
There you go, folks. Arnice, I'm really, really thankful for doing this fireside chat with us today. It's been an eye-opener. I learned a lot from you today. I'm sure a lot of us business owners did as well. We have recorded the conversation with Arnice, so we will share the link later on if you want to go back and review it, which I strongly advise you do. You can save this chat, everything that you see here after the meeting is ended. So feel free to do that. All you have to do is click on those three dots, right where it says send messages to everybody, and you should be able to save it. If you cannot, then send me a note and I'll send you the chat afterwards. Again, thank you all for joining. Arnice, thank you. It's been a pleasure to reconnect, and I am hopeful that this year will be much better than last year, folks, all business owners. Let's hope that we have a great 2021, and I'm sure we will come out swinging, and hopefully doing this face to face before we know it. I'm hoping after the summer for sure. So again, thank you, folks, and have a great day. Thank you, Arnice, again.
Oh, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.